What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Guys with Balls. I know it's been a little while since we actually recorded the video, but we all been busy. Work, life, just in general. So, last video we actually did a review on, the NBA playoffs and who we would think. We got some right, we got some wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong is an understatement.
Yeah. This playoff.
All right, so I know
drastic. Different.
So I know we got the Lakers one right. I think we all picked the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We was wrong with the Sixers because I believe we all picked the Sixers.
Yep.
Can we just not talk about that?
They got swept. So, who else we was right? We were wrong. We were right in some way about the Jazz, but we were wrong at the same time because we thought it wasn't going to be a series, but that was one of the better series of the first round.
I mean, I don't think anybody honestly saw that coming though. Like that series was like one. That's one they're going to talk about for a long time, just based off those two performances between Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. Like we haven't seen two players go back and forth like that possibly since AI and Vince Carter did it in '01. I know we've seen, teams match up and then go 7 series, but for at least, one individual player from each team literally put their team on their back and go shot for shot. Like, look, I'm not backing down. You not backing down. Whoever has the ball got the last shot. That's basically who's going to win.
Well, the Jazz still had a chance to win it at the end.
Yeah, Mike Conley passed the damn ball to Donovan Mitchell. You're absolutely right. He totally jacked. I'm like, yo, the ball was standing there with his hands up like this. I'm like, how did you not see that?
Yeah. Then I guess we were right. I was right about the Maverick series.
Yeah.
Even though that one could have been the other way. I said we was going 6. I said it was going 6.
I'll give you that. And I had a lot of people giving me slack because they're like, oh, the Sixers, they shouldn't have let go of Trey Burke. They shouldn't, they should have kept him. He was a catalyst in the series. Yeah, he was. But it's not so much that I don't like Trey Burke. But come on, he was not like – some people were like texting me, making it seem like the guy was going to carry y'all against the Clippers. I'm like, I get Trey Burke is a baller. I've been, like I said, I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan when it comes to football. So by default, I look up, I do follow their basketball team a little bit. I've known all about him his whole, NBA and NCAA career. His problem is exactly like the game you guys got eliminated. He had 6 points. Nobody was texting me then.
But see, I felt as though it could have been different if KP was healthy that entire series, and especially not get ejected that first game.
I mean, as a Sixer fan, I could say the same thing about if we had Ben Simmons, but I mean,
I wholeheartely agree with the Ben Simmons.
It's next man up mentality, as we've seen. People get hurt every day. Next man up. We just didn't have enough in the tank. But I do agree. I'm not going to say you guys would have won the series, but it would have gone 7 because it went 6 without KP. It would have definitely gone 7. I just think, you can't go against Kawhi, bro. You just can't.
You can't. But see, now here's the thing, though. So everybody, how, for example, the European thing, oh, yeah, they're soft. Luka showed them, I'm not soft, bro. These lights is not too bright for me. He showed that in the series. Yeah, he got pushed around and all this other stuff. But I definitely see an NBA championship with this man in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Especially if they get who I think they're going to get in 2 years.
Who would that be?
I think Giannis is going to come to the Mavs. That's just my opinion. That's who we're going to get on next because they need more than Jesus right now.
You want Giannis?
I would take Giannis and KP and Dirk and Luka.
I don't think Giannis is necessarily a bad player. We'll talk about that when we get to the Bucks.
Yeah. So the first round concluded. By the way, Kirk, your video is KO'd.
I know. I'm setting my son up with a snack real quick.
Silly. Well, yeah. So we We're in the second round now. Houston beat OKC in 7, that was a great series as well. They took game 1 against the Lakers, and
But
the Lakers just can't shoot.
see, same time, I feel like the Lakers don't want to be there anymore. Really,
Really? You feel that way?
coming after the whole protests and all that. I think the Bucks don't want to be there. I don't think the Lakers want to be there. The Clippers, half of the Clippers want to be there, and the other half don't. I kind of think a lot of the players don't want to be in the bubble anymore either.
I mean, that could be true, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is your profession, and I feel like if you don't want to be there, you can say that, but don't go out there and half-ass it. That's my only thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's days that we don't want to go to work, and if it's like we really, 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 really don't want to work, we'll call out if we got the days. But we don't want to go to work and half-ass it because then you're letting your team down. You know what I mean? So if 10 people on the team want to be there and you're the main star and you really don't want to be there,
Yeah, but how does that
tell
look?
it. But
You don't show up and you leave. That also looks bad too. So it's in a lose-lose situation.
kind of, yeah, you're right. It kind of is a lose-lose situation. But I mean, right now they getting cooked.
I don't feel like the Lakers don't want to be there. I just feel like they don't have the talent to outside of AD and LeBron to do it, in my opinion. When you look at the makeup of the team, they have a lot of inconsistent offense. I mean, KCP is hot and cold. J.R. Smith from Denver in New York is not walking through the door. I mean, Deion Waiters, he's good for one game to give you 18, but then he's going to be, non-existent.
I'm really confused why they didn't want to give up Kuzma though. They could have gave up Kuzma because he's not what they think they are. What he thinks,
Kuzma doesn't even know what he is as an NBA player. But it's like, and when you sub those guys, like say if you were to switch up the rotation for a JR, for a Deion, hoping they go hot and they can drain 3 or 5, have a game where they can hit 3 or 5 or 4 from 7 from beyond the arc, you're gonna give up defense. And small. I mean, we all were naysayers when it came to Houston and this whole small ball thing. And we said they was going to get cooked in the offs.
Yeah,
it's working for them, and it's working quite well. I mean, Harden had a horrible game 7 against OKC. Horrible, literally until the last 90 seconds of the game where he made the key block. And I just feel like I think based off LeBron and AD. I do think they can still beat the Rockets, but I just don't feel like the Lakers. First of all, there's another factor I'm going to bring up. I don't feel like the Lakers have enough offensive firepower. And unlike when LeBron went to Miami, teams feared I said this in the first round. Teams feared Miami. Nobody fears the Lakers. Like, you fear LeBron because I mean it's LeBron. You know what he's going to do. Nobody fears Anthony Davis. I mean, he's going to get his, but he doesn't. I mean, if he takes over a game, you live with it. But outside of them two, no, but that's not a roster you fear. They didn't embrace that villainous mentality that Miami had. And
the Clippers
playing on a neutral site also helps. Because you don't, for example, when you knew you had to go to South Beach and it was a whiteout, you knew what that environment was going to be like. Now I mean, quote unquote, according to the Nuggets coach, miserable in a bubble. Some players have, like you guys said, mentally checked out due to social issues, world issues, and there are many different layers to these playoffs. I say, and that's why I feel like we did get we were hit or miss with a lot of these series. I mean, for example, you take a guy like the guy from the Pacers that was really hot those 8 games. I can't think of his name.
TJ Warren. You didn't hear anything about him, during the playoff series. So it's like not at all.
The ballers are gonna ball, but at the same time, it's like that the whole neutrality, it being a neutral court, that plays a masterful role in this whole playoffs, and that's an element to why I think the Lakers. I mean, if they weren't to make the finals or they weren't to win the championship, that would be. And LeBron has said it himself: playing without fans is a whole different vibe, and that's why nobody fears the Lakers.
I would have to agree with that, man, because I can only imagine how like these game winners that's been hit. Like for once, the Luka one. Like if that was done in Dallas, how that like it would have been crazy. But it would have been way better with them being in Dallas versus them
Remember
being in the bubble.
remember the Vince Carter buzzer beater when he was with Dallas, and that played the American Airlines Center went nuts.
Yeah, it definitely did.
It's definitely a whole
So
different
yeah,
ballgame.
do y'all think that that Giannis is are they going to bring them back? Like, do you think they're going to come back from that 3-0 deficit from the Heat, or is it a wrap? Is it a wrap next game? Is it going to be like
Get them
It's a wrap today.
Get them brooms. Sweeping is coming aboard.
And it's not so much. And I have to eat crow on this because I really thought that Eric Spoelstra wasn't a good coach when he was coaching Wade and LeBron and all that.
mm-hmm.
But looking at his tenure, even when they played us in the playoffs a couple of years ago, yeah, we beat them 4-1, but it was still a crazy series and all the games.
It was.
Eric Spoelstra is a good NBA coach, and I mean they're undefeated in the playoffs for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Does it pain me for looking at the current makeup with their roster with one individual player who I'm not going to name? Yes, but we all know who I'm talking about.
Sure.
Shout out to Jerome because he kept asking me all last season why I won't buy a Jimmy Butler jersey. And I saw him because I had a feeling he wasn't going to stay. And it wasn't because he didn't want to be here. It's because, the former head coach didn't really know how to coach. But
we're not hindsight being what it is, that sucks so bad, bro.
But it's a huge slap in the face because if you guys don't know, there is a big rivalry on Twitter between Heat fans and Sixer fans. And I mean, you have to give credit to where credit is due. I mean, I didn't have a lot of faith in this Miami team. I thought they were too young.
Mm-hmm.
But
game away from the Eastern Conference Finals.
They're undefeated. They've won pretty much all their games pretty convincingly. And when you have a guy like Jimmy Butler, who, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, is an absolute dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shows.
So I didn't watch the last Heat and Bucks game, but I did turn to it because I'm not gonna lie, I was watching wrestling because it was going on in wrestling. So I turned and seen that the score, the fourth, the box score essentially, at that time, the Heat outscored the Bucks 32-13 in the fourth quarter. And there was like a minute and some change left. I thought, how did you get shut down like that in the fourth quarter? It was just curious.
The Miami Heat would need a collapse of epic proportions. I've always said this about the Bucks, and I'm going to continue to say it. They remind me of those old Houston teams from when they had Chandler Parsons and Kyle Lowry and Trevor Reeves and all those guys. They have a very deep, talented roster, but they're just a great regular season team. They're just fun to watch. When you start getting into the playoffs and the game slows down and there's X's and O's more involved and you have to really game plan, all you really have to do for the Bucks is crash Giannis. I mean, Brook Lopez is going to shoot corner threes. Chris Middleton is due to have a couple of, he's mildly inconsistent, but he can't consistently play at an all-star level. I also
Does Giannis leave
in 2 years or this season?
No, not obviously. He has one more year of his contract. Does he sign?
Does he request a trade, or does
no?
He
not doesn't request a trade. Does he leave in free agency?
Oh, does he walk? Does he outright sign? No. Will he entertain offers? Yes.
So if you were
wait. There's one wild card in this whole thing.
Okay.
And that is the Golden State Warriors picking number 2. Everybody needs to keep an eye on that because. All I'm going to say is if you really think Golden State is picking at number 2 for themselves,
So that's what I was about to ask. What are the 3 teams? I'll give it 5. If he does leave, what are the 5 teams that he goes to or entertains, have meetings with during free agency?
It would have to be a contender. The only team in the East I could see him going to is Brooklyn. I couldn't really see him going to Toronto unless Serge Ibaka or Paul. Well, Paul Gasol won't probably be there. He'll probably be too old by then. Possibly Toronto. It all depends on the cap space with them. I could see him going to Brooklyn. But then it's primarily Western Conference teams. Dallas, I could see that would be hella dangerous because you guys got to
Yes,
compete.
sir.
You got to compete with Denver now, and Denver's on the rise. Golden State would be number one, and then it's just
So the rumors about the Heat, you don't believe it?
I don't think he stays in the East.
Okay.
Because I've always said this. For some reason, I'm 30 years old. I've been watching pro basketball pretty much, since Allen Iverson came into the league in '96. And it just seems like, to me, the East always has talented players, but the West always has the stacked talented teams, if that makes sense. We have the Iversons, the McGrady's, the Stephon Marburys. And then you look at the Western Conference, they have, like, the fully loaded Houston Rockets team. They got a Mavericks team: Steve Nash, Mike Finley, Antoine Jameson, Eric Dampier.
Even though that team didn't do nothing.
Didn't do anything, but it was still on paper you looking at like, oh man, I gotta deal with this. Lakers also didn't do anything when they had the glove, Karl Malone, Shaq, Cole.
Yeah.
It always seems to be that way. It's like David versus Goliath when it's an Eastern Conference matchup. But
listen, I can have my hopes, man. I do hope that Giannis comes to the Mavs.
Look,
Luka, KP, and Giannis, man, oh man. I can only hope.
I'm telling you, you guys got to be building. Forget, sorry, Rick, but forget Sacramento until y'all get some new. Y'all in the same boat as the Sixers. Until y'all get a new front office, I can't really see y'all doing anything.
And speaking about the trade rumors between Sacramento and the Sixers.
You're not getting Ben Simmons.
No, not Ben. Tobias.
That's new. I haven't heard that.
It's a slave name, because I don't know what, man.
I will say this. I'm not a fan of breaking up the Sixers just yet. And it's not even speaking from a fan standpoint. But you have to see what a new front office and a new coaching staff can do with this team before you decide to just implode on everything. I'm
a disagreeer there. Now, what I mean by disagree there is don't trade Ben and Joel. But Tobias can go. Al Horford can go.
I would keep Tobias and trade Al Horford. And honestly, I would get rid of Josh Richardson before I got rid of Tobias.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They gave him Josh Richardson and Tobias in a pick going to Sacramento.
What was the rumors? But was it Buddy Hield? Because if it's not Buddy Hield, then don't do it.
Man, if it ain't De'Aaron Fox, then don't do it. De'Aaron Fox is the man.
They're not giving up De'Aaron Fox.
I know they're not giving up De'Aaron Fox. He's one of the people that on 2K I put on the Sixers all the time because him and Ben on a fast break. Oh my God.
Harrison Barnes and Buddy.
No.
For just stop Harris, Josh Richardson, and the number 21 pick.
Harrison Barnes? No.
You see what the Mavs dumped off Harrison Barnes for a bag of chips and some used toothpicks to get him off the team.
Harrison, but no, I don't want Harrison. But that's like, I got like a Rasho Nesterovic vibe, just real quick. Like, what? No.
Do you? It says question. Do you do it for Buddy Hield?
Yes.
Like you know how you do a deal just to get one player and then you ship off that other player.
Oh, yeah.
Do you do this deal to get Buddy Hield and then ship off Harrison Barnes if that was the case?
You do it to get Buddy. Is Harrison Barnes on an expiring contract or no?
No, he just re-upped with the Kings a couple years ago. No, not a couple years ago.
I would do it, but if we took Harrison Barnes, they would have to take Al Horford.
Okay. Get rid of those contracts. I see what you're doing.
Can't let them cancel each other out. Harrison Barnes is a lot more likely to be effective playing alongside Joel Embiid than Al Horford is, obviously.
That's facts. That's facts. Because at least Harrison Barnes can legitly stretch the floor.
Exactly. And not look like a galloping geezer running down the court.
What about that rumor about Embiid wanting out?
That was what it was. It was just a rumor because he literally even said he was trolling.
Rick. The show is called Guys with Balls, not roast Kirk about being a Sixer fan with rumors. But if you must know, and I don't really think Embiid runs out. I don't really entertain rumors like that. Yeah. Is he quite unhappy? Yes, because he sees him and Jimmy Butler are close as crap off the court, and he knew Jimmy Butler's potential, and he knew the team's potential with Jimmy Butler. Thanks. Like I said previously in the last show, I also said that, and I've said this on Twitter, arguing with people all the time. I don't really think Embiid will ever throw anybody directly under the bus. He does make on his own team. Now, if you play for another team, you free game. We've seen him tag people, but he's always indirectly said how he's felt when it comes to Ben not shooting, when it comes to, not getting enough help, and when it comes to, coaching. He's not going to directly throw the front office under the bus. He loves this organization. He wants a parade down Broad Street. But at the same time, yes, he knew that team's potential. He knew what the potential was with Jimmy Butler. I mean, and we got, 50, including the playoffs, a good 50 games with them?
Yeah, man, they should have definitely ran that back.
He should have spoke up, though, about the coaching staff. He, of all people, I think would have had a better impact of getting a coaching change before.
But see, the thing is about the Sixers, it's two massive egos in that locker room. It's Ben and Joel. And they still don't know who the leader is, when the leader honestly should be the coach. But like Josh Richardson, when Josh Richardson said he walked into practice and, basically said Brett Brown was just letting them run a pickup game and not really coaching them. I mean, who's going to step on whose toes is really the question. I mean, is who's going to be the bigger man? Yeah. Who's going to be less of a prima donna, Ben or Joel?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like overall the leader of this team should not be Tobias Harris. I feel like the leader of this team should be Joel Embiid. I mean, and I am going to say this, and I'm going to admit this. Ben has been one of my favorite players, since LSU. But if it came down to him and Joel, even with Joel's injury history, I'm going to take Joel over Ben. Reason being is you see with Giannis, lack of shooting, it doesn't really affect you in the season. But like I said, when it comes down to coaching, Ben Simmons is phenomenal in a fast break. You put him in a half-court offense, he's completely useless, to be quite honest. That's what it boils down to.
That leads us to my next question then. Who do you think will be, or who do you want to be the Sixers' next coach?
If it were up to me, the Sixers' next coach would be Tim Legler, ESPN analyst. If you watch this guy talk, he knows the Sixers' issues. He's been very vocal about what this team needs, what direction it needs to go, who needs to be the leader, who needs to step up, and how to implement it. But, I mean, obviously he's not a candidate. But I would want Kenny Atkinson. If it's not Kenny Atkinson, I really wouldn't have an issue with Tyronn Lue. I know a lot of people are saying, he rode LeBron's coattails to that title, so to speak. The guy also requested for LeBron to be accountable for his, his shortcomings in the playoffs. And name one other coach that's available that has a ring that's willing to come here.
That has a ring as well. I don't know.
Are we talking about rings just in the NBA, or can we go to college?
I mean, Jay Wright ain't coming, so.
Yeah, he already said he's not coming.
Well, we know Jay Wright ain't coming, but we also have a few other people that could be candidates that the Sixers should look at.
But without
coaches as well.
Oh, without a doubt. Do I feel like Becky Hammon should be the coach? Not right now, but I would love for her to join the organization, just like I would love Chauncey Billups to join the organization. I did hear rumors about that. Not sure, the validity of them. But we just need a total revamp of this front office of people who are no nonsense, people who are going to come in here and hold this young team accountable, because people are on, calling the process dead, saying it was a complete disaster. And I'm like, we've had 3 years of Joel and Ben.
Mm-hmm.
The process is still fairly young. I mean, if you listen to what Sam Hinkie said all those years ago, he said even to get to the contender level, it's going to take 7 years. So we only had 3 years of them actually being on the court, not even just being on the team, because if you remember, Joel missed 2 years and Ben missed a year himself. This is still, we haven't even reached the halfway point. Are we turning the corner? Yes, because we're going in a new direction. And I think, honestly, we should have gone in that direction 2 years ago after we lost to Boston. But, hindsight is 2020. Get a guy in here who's no nonsense, who's going to hold Ben and Joel accountable. One, if not both, have to be the leader. Don't coddle them. I mean, I've said it once and I say it again. If Ben doesn't want to shoot, bench him. It is what it is. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you want to be a successful player, you have to shoot the ball. You have to be willing to shoot. It's not like you can't shoot. We've seen you shoot. You have a pretty good form. I don't know if it's mental, psychological. I understand you said you never really had to do it before, but you're not playing with 16-year-old kids anymore. You're not the biggest fish in the pond. You're in the NBA, dude.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, I would either say one of the Van Gundys or somebody like Mark Jackson. And the only reason why I say that is because I know that they're not going to take any BS. For sure. I know for sure one of the Van Gundys is not going to take no BS. And I don't think Mark Jackson will take any BS. And that's what they need. They need a no BS coach. Listen, if you're not Ben, you're not going to take no three. All right, next game you starting off the bench. Simple as that.
Not to cut you off, but I don't even have to have Ben shoot threes, but at least shoot a mid-range jump shot. And then if they're sagging off of you 26 feet, yes, pop a three. If you miss it, you airball it. It doesn't matter. You're not going to do that every time. But to just not take them, and the nearest defender is at the foul line, and you're at the top of the key, and you holding a ball over your head, shoot! It's not a hard concept.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, so, I mean, the last thing that we can talk about today then is for the NBA playoffs is how do y'all feel about Steve Nash being a coach? He was hired this past week as the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, it caught me off guard. I was coming from a doctor's appointment, and I see it on my phone whoa. I did not see that coming. Now, not that I didn't see it coming because I didn't know that Steve Nash was interested in coaching, but he has said it, he's held off for so long since retirement that, I wasn't expecting him to jump up and be a head coach, on his first gig, not an assistant coach, nothing. So, just y'all thoughts on that one?
I'm going to let Rick go first.
First of all, I mean, Steve Nash, I think, could be a great coach, but I kind of think out of the coaching pool out there, we had a lot of black coaches that could have been picked ahead of him, definitely. Because look up at the mark of the NBA as of right now, we went from having predominantly black coaches to now a handful of black coaches in the NBA. And you have a whole bunch of potential candidates that could actually do the job, honestly, better than Steve Nash. But I'm going to hold off judging him personally until I see his work on the court. Well, on the side of it, basically. But I kind of think that they probably might have bit off a little bit too soon on this one.
I'm a piggyback off that. You said you're not going to judge him, and yeah, you absolutely right. I totally agree with that, but I am going to judge the situation. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I listen to First Take and I listen to Sports Talk Radio every minute of the day. We're all working from home during this pandemic. We got, you need background noise. I feel like Stephen A. Smith made a valid point, and it's not just solely based off, race and, but let's just call it what it is. He said that he got a golden ticket, it fell into his lap. So how many times have you seen that honestly happen with a black coach where everything is set up for him, for success? We usually, honestly, let's talk about it. We usually get treated like Sam Hinkie. We get the dumpster fires. We got to fully rebuild. And then you never really are able as a coach to, show your potential because you got a D-League squad. Or, you got a squad full of underdeveloped players who really don't belong in the NBA. And, it's no fault to Steve Nash. I mean, I wouldn't have said no to the situation. You got two of the better players in the league, one of the top scorers in the league coming off an injury. And, Brooklyn isn't a bad team to begin with. So it's like, why not? Why not join that culture and that environment? It did kind of shock me because I didn't even, I was like, wait, what? Like the players? I'm thinking, like, who the hell is Steve Nash? Like, but, I don't know. I guess I guess people like myself, I guess we feel a little different if the timing was a little, if current circumstances weren't what they were in the world. We would look at this a little differently, but it does kind of make you side-eye, like, oh, here we go again. Like, because you wonder, like, why wasn't Tyronn Lue, and like we've heard, we don't know if they looked at other candidates. We can only go off by what we know and what's been announced. So it does kind of make me wonder. It'll be interesting to see him as a coach, former player, former two-time MVP. Their expectations for me, I mean, you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Anything less of an NBA Finals appearance, especially in the East, would be an absolute failure. And like I said, it'll just be interesting, especially, me being a Sixer fan. I keep a close eye on all the Eastern Conference teams. They're coming. Obviously, it's Durant and Kyrie. I know they said that those two have a good, more so Durant, they have a pretty good relationship with Steve Nash off the court. So, we'll see how it works out. Coaching the team and coaching egos like that, a lot goes into it. So we'll see. I mean, we also know, we've seen from past experience, we know Kyrie isn't the easiest person to get along with in the locker room. So we'll see how everything plays out. Everything always looks good on paper, a.k.a., you learned that with the Eagles, with the Dream Team. Everything looks good when it's in black and white, but when you got to execute, it's a totally different ballgame. But, I'm happy for Steve Nash. I hope he does well, just when they don't play not when they play the Sixers. That's all.
Yeah, so just my personal thoughts on it was it was just shocking to me. I mean, I felt bad for Jack Vaughn, honestly, because I heard that he was like the front runner to be it, and then to turn around and then Nash gets the job. It was like, wow, okay, didn't see that coming. But yeah, man, I do hope Steve the best. He was a Mavs great, got better in Phoenix, but it is what it is.
This is such a biased take by you.
So I love Nash, man. Like I love him as a player. That's just it. I love him as a player and a person. But I mean, I feel like, honestly, I do feel like it was weird because again, it was out of left field, and you definitely had some people who could have, that I could believe, have brought the best out of KD and Kyrie. But like I said, who's to say that Nash can't? So I mean, at the end of the day, it's honestly a wait and see. The way it was handled could have been done a lot better. We don't know who they tried to actually get in there for interviews, because again, all we knew that they said something about Jack Vaughn, and then turn around a week later, Steve Nash was hired. So we don't know the other candidates that they were looking at.
Definitely.
So I mean, it's just a wait and see approach. But yeah,
I think the NBA though should have implemented like a Rooney type rule, like how they have in the NFL, having to interview a number of black coaches as well. Just can't make their decision off of one interview for anybody.
So
or shoot, I mean, not even black, Spanish Americans.
For minorities, but
yeah, females.
So,
2, 3 minorities and female. Of course, that needs to be enhanced a little bit more too. But I think they need.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because the Rooney Rule has failed the NFL.
Yeah, it needs to be enhanced on the Rooney Rule.
They did enhance it. What they enhanced it to is now you can't block. So, for example, you see how the Eagles have Deuce Staley as their head coach, assistant head coach, running back coach. If he was to go to be like to apply, not apply, but like get an interview for like an offensive coordinator or something like that, you can't block that. If you have an intern that is really good in your organization, and he was to go be like a vice president or something, another organization, you can no longer block that. So they are trying to implement new things for it, but we'll see how it works, because it was just basically put into fruition this offseason. Yeah. So maybe next offseason we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take the first step regardless. So the NBA,
yeah, I agree.
The first step now in this process. But we'll have to wait and see how everything plays out.
Yeah, man. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. Next episode, we're gonna talk about what we all been waiting for. God knows how long. We're about to get an NFL. We're about to get an NFL season.